Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm happy that you're here today and I welcome all my new subscribers, my old subscribers. I welcome everybody and I appreciate everyone. If this is your first time of stopping by to this channel, please subscribe and don't forget to hit the notification bell above so you'll be notified whenever I upload new videos. Alright, so in today's tutorial, I'll be drafting an off-shoulder princess that dress um, with sleeves. Alright, so the same concept applies to if you're just drafting from your shoulder to waist, but I am drafting a full dress so that later you can adjust and cut from the waist if you're going to just make a top. Alright, so just follow along. And so we're going to begin by measuring from the measurement from shoulder to knee line. So for me, that is 37 inches. So however, I'm not drafting directly on that 37 inches. I minus 3 inches and that gives me 34 inches. And that's the what I marked here. Then I square the line out. So now I get from shoulder to my chest line, which is 9 inches. Shoulder to bust point 10.5 inches, then my shoulder to under bust 13.5 inches, sorry. Shoulder to waistline, which is 16.5 inches, and then from that waistline you can go down by 9 inches or 8 inches to get your hip line. For me, I used 8 inches and that is 24 inches, and I mark that out. Now go ahead and square out all the lines that you have marked. Okay, I'm just going to label this my chest line, bust point, under bust, waistline, hip line, and the knee line. Okay, and also the shoulder line. Now on the shoulder line, divide your shoulder measurement by 2. For me, that is 16 and divide by 2 and it gives me 8 inches. You mark that measurement and then you draw a line to meet your chest line, just like I did here. Now the next thing that you're going to decide is how low you want your neckline to be. Remember, this is an off shoulder, so I use that 6.5 inches. So since we're not having any shoulder, we're not drafting directly on the shoulder, you come down from the shoulder line by 2.5 inches. Okay, and then you're just going to mark it down to the neckline measurement that you marked at the center front. So you can decide to mark a V neckline or whatever neckline you wish. So this is my neckline as I have marked it here. So now we're going to mark the length of the sleeve. This is where we're creating the sleeve. Remember, it's going to be cut together. Okay, so after you get the length, you're going to measure around where you want your sleeve to stop. Okay, and then you'll be dividing that by 4 and add half an inch to it. So mine was 14, divide by 4 and I have a 3.5 plus 0.5 inches. That gave me 4 inches. So I mark that 4 inches on top and also at the bottom, and now I am going to connect the lines. And also you connect the lines to close it up like that. Okay, so the next thing is to create the armhole, and then before you can do that, you measure your bust measurement and you divide that by 4 inches plus 2 inches as seam allowance. So for me it's 38. I divide that by 4 and I have 9.5. Then I add 2 inches as seam allowance. Then I will use my French curve and connect it to the mid armhole just like this. So this is now my armhole curve. Okay. Okay, now we're going to create our dots. So you're going to get your nipple to nipple measurement. For me, mine is 8 inches divided by 2, and that gives me 4. And I'm adding half an inch to that. I mark it on my bust point, on my under bust point, and on the waistline, also on the hip line. So the half inch is to join it together after it's cut out. Okay. So after that, I just use my yardstick and then go ahead and draw that all the way down to the hemline like this. All right. So we're going to continue on the under bust area. Here I am going to take out a dart of 1.5 inches on each side. You can do 1 inch or 0.75 inches depending on how busty or you are. And then on the waistline, I marked 1 inch on both sides. All right. And then after that, you come up on the bust point area. You're going to go up by 1 inch. Okay, now you're going to connect the lines like this. So the 1 inch is going to be under from the bust point, you go down by 1 inch and then you create your dart, okay, not up. And then you're going to connect this 2 inches from you come up by 2 inches from the hip line. This is where your dart will end. And then you connect the rest like this. Okay, so you don't have to draw the dart all the way to the knee line. So you just leave the straight line as is that. All right. So after that, you now use your French curve, or you can use a free hand and connect the rest of the dart to your mid armhole, just like I'm doing here. Okay, just like that, you make sure that you blend in all the sharp edges. You don't want to have any sharp edges, so you blend it well. All right, so we'll continue now with the rest of our measurements. So you go now on your waistline, divide your waist by 4 inches plus 2 inches that we're going to take out from 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 the waistline. You add that back plus 2 inches for seam allowance. And now we go on the hip line. We don't have any dart on the hip line. We will only be adding the allowance to join it together. So you divide your hip by 4, you place that measurement. For me, that's 11 inches, and I place that plus 2 inches seam allowance. So now whatever measurement you have for your hip, you go on the hemline and minus 1.5 inches from that, and you place that measurement there on the hemline. Okay. So I just double checked what I have, and then that's the measurement I place right there on the hemline. You can make yours go in more depending on how comfortable you or you can do 2 inches. It's totally up to you. So after that, we go ahead and we connect the rest of the um, side seam lines. Okay, and make sure you blend all your sharp edges. So the front of bodice is basically done, and you just label that the front, right? Then you blend your sharp edges. So we'll be cutting straight down to the hem. Okay. Okay, so before we cut the pattern out, we do adjustment on the sleeve. You're gonna come in by 2.5 inches, and then you just use your ruler and connect it to the length of the sleeve, just like I did here. This is so that way after sewing the dress will sit nicely on your shoulder. Okay, so after that you go ahead and cut out the pattern. So you're going to cut out your pattern just like I'm showing you here. So when you get to this area, you curve out your hand. Don't cut it straight. You just curve, curve, and curve, so you can, have a nice curve around that area. Then you proceed and continue cutting like this until you cut out the pattern and cut out the sleeves. And then the rest of the dot. Okay, so I finished cutting it out, and now I am going to draft the back pattern. So first you get another pattern paper, and then take out 2 inches for the zipper and label that. Then you place your front uh, the front pattern from that zip line. All right, and also you place the side seam so that you can trace the pattern onto the new pattern paper. Okay, you're gonna go ahead and trace the side and also the sleeve, and then the armhole area, then all the way down. You trace the sides all the way to the hemline, and also trace the neckline area. Okay, so after you've traced it, you just go ahead and blend the rest of the lines. So your chest line, your bust point, because we have to create the dart for the back as well. Then the waistline, then the hip line. Okay, you go ahead and label the points. Okay, now on the the bust point, you get your nipple to nipple measurement plus half inch, just like we did for the front. You mark that on the bust point, on the waistline, and also the hip line. Then go ahead and connect all the points together. All right, so on the waistline, we'll be taking out 1 inch on the waistline on both sides. Then from the bust point, you go up by 1 inch, and then from the hip line, go up by 2 inches. Then we are now going to connect all the lines together. And then you'll be just be connecting in a straight line from the mid armhole like this to the um, bust point like that. So there isn't any need to do, we don't have any bust in the back, so it's just straight. Okay, so you're then going to connect the rest of the dart just like I'm showing you here. And then the dart ends 2 inches before the hip line like this. Okay, all right, and basically the back pattern is ready. You're going to be cutting that out. So we go ahead and we cut it out. And then remember, if you're making a dress, you just use the whole pattern to make your dress. And if you're making just the top, you will just modify your pattern and trace out on another paper up to the waist area. And then you use it to, make your top. But basically, the pattern is done. And I'm just going to extend the neckline to the zipper area and then go ahead and cut this out. So you just cut it out like this. And then go ahead and cut the rest of the dot. Okay, so this is the pattern. This is the center back, and then you have the side back. So for the side back, we'll be cutting two of that, and the center back we also cut two. And now this is this center front and also the side front. The center front you cut on fold and the side back you cut too. So this is it for this tutorial. I hope if it has been helpful, please give a thumbs up, like, share, and comment. And don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you on my next video. Bye.